Good afternoon, DGen Nation, and welcome to another thrilling edition of Reactive Recaps. It's me again, Rancid R2, coming at you live from FinTwit and Discord with my ever grateful partner in crime, the famous Bird himself from Trading from the Hide Discord. How we doing, Bird?
Pretty good, man. How are you doing?
Not bad. It's a beautiful day in my neighborhood. The sun's out. Temperature's nice. And I'm making green all day. So let's go.
All right, that's always a good day. That is definitely always a good day.
So, to those new listeners, and I hope there are new listeners out there, the point of this podcast is to teach as much education as we can to as many of you retail traders as we can so you can continue to be retail traders and not go broke. We are going to go over setups that you can find every day. Nothing specific, nothing crazy, simple, findable setups that should net good base hits. Okay, so Bird is traditionally the master of the futures market, so we leave that to him. I usually stick with the options market, and that's pretty much how we do it. We're trying to also include some more educational elements to the show as well, just so we can teach you other things than just looking for trend lines all day. But we'll get there together. All right. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Bird so he can go over his first recap from today. Let's go.
All right. So, my recap is pretty simple for today, and that is I did not take any trades. The price action this morning was not favorable for my system, and I found myself in the one move that was favorable to my system. I hesitated and was doubtful of it, and I completely did not enter into the trade. And that made me think for a second that maybe today was a day to take off because I my system wasn't nothing was appearing on my system within the trading or anything like that. And then when it did, I hesitated. So maybe today wasn't the best day for me to be trading. And so I decided to take the day off and not trade.
I think this whole story is a very important reactive recap. That's exactly what this show is. He, was waiting for a system. He didn't react well enough. So that's a good decision to stop trading in situations like that. You don't have to trade every day. You don't have to trade every candle. Take a day. Heaven forbid. And I'm glad Yellow is man enough to admit that even too he sometimes is not executing green all the time. It's a good lesson for us all to learn. Everyone has red days. Everyone's not in the same mental space all the time. So it's an important element to learn, and I really applaud Bird for real. You being so transparent with your trading journey and what you do on the daily.
Yeah, I think that transparency is very important with anyone that you are trying to learn from. And anyone who doesn't post or talk about their red days or their mistakes or their doubts within their self. Like today, I doubted myself and I didn't trade because, everyone has those types of days. If there's someone on there that you're following or looking at and they're not posting red, they're not posting, doubts or anything like that, then maybe they're living in a different world. Maybe it's not all real. Yesterday I had a red day. I posted it on my X profile for the whole world to see. And I tend to, anytime I do have a red day, I make a point to post it on my X because that, that shows that even people that have found success still have struggles. And that you can't, once you find success, it's not going to be all flowers and sausages forever. You still have some days where you're the bug and not the windshield.
And I think what Bird is also trying to get across to everybody in here is the only way that you're going to learn from your mistakes is to review them, look at them, analyze them. If you want to post them to whatever social media you want to post them to, fine. But if you're not reviewing, looking at your trades, looking at your system on the daily basis to make sure that it is actually profitable for you, you're never going to make it in this world. Never. You have to every day. I don't care how long Bird has been in the market. I don't care how long I've been in the market. If I'm not trying to learn stuff new every day, I'm doing something wrong. Let that soak in, everybody. Nobody is done on this journey until you are in the ground or quit.
Yeah, that is something I try and do every day is learn something on one of my many ventures that I've got going on, whether it's either trading or, editing for the podcast or building something in Discord or something like that. I'm always trying to learn something new.
Specifically, Bert, I'd like to learn more about the brewery. To be honest, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, they're not up and running yet. They still got a few things to work out, but once they get up and running, I will definitely be sending out some 6-packs to people.
Hell yeah. You should set up a raffle or like an online auction to see for people to bid to see if they can name a beer. You'd be amazed at people love of doing that.
That's an idea. That is an idea.
Okay. Now I think it's a good time for me to go over my morning recap. Um, it's another good example of something that I showed from Monday. And what I'm trying to do with my recaps is review previous things that we discussed. So last week we were big on trend lines. So I'm trying to focus on finding you guys trades using trend lines. Okay. So I had a beautiful one this morning. SPY popped in the morning and then it quickly moved into a downtrend. So I took the high of the day candle and I started drawing a line. Now, as the day progresses, you have to move your trend line to respect where the market actually is. Okay, this is not just like it's a one trend line and that's it for the whole day. No, you got to be adaptive. You got to be reactive to the market and set trend lines as they are moved. Okay, so with that being the case, you saw it came down, 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 up, but then it rotated back up. Which any trend, whether it's up or down, they do have pullbacks. It's never going to be straight down all the time. Okay, very important to remember that. So we had a pullback, touched it, kissed the trend line, rejected it. Okay, that's a pretty good sign so far. Second candle, kissed above it, rejected it again. Now, if you're an experienced trader who's handled these kind of situations frequently in your trading career, take that trade. It's a good one. I'd take it. But for the new people who are still trying to learn, I recommend getting 3 pieces of confluence together prior to entering a trade. Okay, what do I mean by 3 pieces of confluence? 3 pieces of information that justify getting into the trade. When I first started trading, I had a system where I was justifying not getting into trades. That's how bad it was for me because I was just always wanting to be a market participant. You don't have to be a constant market participant to make money. In fact, it's been my experience, the less of the market I participate in, the more money I make and the less I lose. So just keep that in mind if you feel like you have to rush to jump into a trade because you missed the first one. Don't do that. Okay? Take a deep breath, relax, and you'll find another one. It's going to come back. Okay? So with that being said, if you didn't take it here on the second kind of third touch, you could have been patient and waited. And there's nothing wrong with being patient and waiting. The worst thing that can happen from you being patient and waiting is you didn't lose any money. That's not so bad on red days, is it? I bet everyone listening to me wish they didn't trade at all on their red days. So being flat or having zero position is a position. Defending your money is a position. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. Okay? So, like I said, Second and third tap, back down. Uh-oh. Another tap. Now for you retail traders, this is the spot right here, okay? You have 3 taps, 3 rejections of a trend line from the high of the day. Okay? As a trend line goes, for intraday trading, the highs and lows trend lines are usually pretty impactful and will usually garner some reaction, whether for or against it. So keep your eyes on that. So as you can see, if you took a put here, easy money. Car payment money. House payment money. Grocery bill money. Children's Christmas, maybe, money. These are the terms you have to think about when you're making these trades. I know when it's on an electronic screen, it can seem all fake. It's not real, okay? Make it real. Tie these trades to real things that matter to you. Because you know what's going to happen when they start to matter to you? Your trading will start to matter to you. And you will get better. Because you will not YOLO. You will not just load in a position just because you can. No. If you tie it to reality, it becomes real. So, like Bert and I went over last week, trend line, raw crayon, make a house payment. Okay? It's just that simple, folks. The key element to executing a trade like this is having the patience to wait it out. And during this time, you could have made money in other trades, sure. But for this specific trend line trade, patience. Patience. And that's my basic setup from today. I mean, another perfect trend line trade.
That was a solid one. That definitely was. I like that. I like the talking about exercising patience and putting things into terms of, this is extra money for, the car payment, the mortgage payment, and stuff like that. However, I'd like to put a caveat onto that, and that is that the money you make trading, you should never rely on. Because when you need that money for trading to make that house payment or to make that car payment or something like that, then you're adding extra stress into your trading that is not needed. Now, if you already have your car payment covered, your house payment covered, or something like that, and you make that extra money, then it's just icing on the cake. And that's what we're trying to go for here, is the icing on the cake.
That's 100% accurate. And I know we've spoken about this in the past, Bird, but the first thing I did that I thought was very helpful in improving was taking the P&L off my screen. Okay? I think Bird is what we're trying to get across here, folks, is it's the money is the side benefit of it. It's the ability to consistently walk into this market, find a setup, execute it. Okay? Everything else that comes along with that is just the gravy, right? So Bird's right. Always, don't look for the money, look for the setup.
Yeah, and speaking of setups, I was going to go over flags on this episode of the podcast here real quick. If you don't mind, I move to that section.
Not at all, by all means.
All right, so flags. I have this example here pulled up on my screen. It is the 17th of October. That day was a day with a lot of flags. When I like to have a lot of different tools in my tool belt to use while trading, because sometimes the market doesn't always act the same. Now, on this day, we had flags on flags on flags. The past 2 weeks, flags haven't been working that well. They haven't been materializing, and when they do materialize, they haven't been working very well. So this is just another tool to be used in the tool belt, but just like any other indicator or any other system, it doesn't work 100% of the time. All right, we had this downtrend coming in the morning session. These are actual trades I took that day off of that I have on my recap. And then I have some other flags highlighted here as examples. So trend line, I took the trend line tap here for a trade, but we consolidated into this flag right here. Now what makes this a flag is we have this parallel channel of price action moving the opposite direction of the biggest move. So this move, we just had this decent size move down and we consolidated up and we went little under halfway of the move and then it broke down. Again, went down, consolidated again with the parallel channel, broke down. Again, consolidated within the parallel channel, broke down, continued down. Now, where I like to enter on these flags is I like to do what I call front loading the flag. And what that is as it comes up, this is for a bear flag, as it comes up to the top of that parallel line, enter in a trade. And then as it goes down and it breaks, you'll be in the trade and you'll take profits. So that day we went all the way down. We found support here, and then we found some strength. So I switched over to bull flags. We had this strength come up here on the 2 minute. It started pulling back and consolidating. Now this here is a very steep flag. I do not like to play the steep flags and enter on the bottom of the flag. But instead, there's a second way to enter flags. And that is the breakout and the retest. It doesn't retest every single time. As you can see here on the down movement, we just had breaks. Here we had a break. No, because we broke here and we just went down. But here we had a break up out of that parallel channel, and then it came and retested that parallel channel. That gave me an opportunity to go long, and then we went up. We started consolidating again here. This was a decent sized flag. This one I entered here, went up, scaled out, came back down, got stopped out at break even. It came down, I re-entered again here and ended up riding most of it up. This flag here, when doing flags, I like to look at it on multiple time frames. So here on the 5 minute, we can find that flag looks a lot cleaner here on the 5 minute versus looking like just a channel on the 2 minute. Because a lot of times flags can turn into channels and they will just sit there and grind out. So I like to look at it at the higher time frames and see if it's still a decent looking flag on multiple time frames. We also have the flag.
Now, Bird, while you're looking, you'd call those higher time frames an excellent opportunity to find congruence or confluence with whatever your trading plan is.
Yeah, so when looking at flags, I like to see them on higher time frames also. So, and I also have a belief that the flag is on the larger the time frame, the larger move it will produce. So if we look here on the 15 minute, this bull flag, I mean, it was a 2 candle bull flag here on the 15 minute, but we had a decent amount of candles here on the 5 minute and a very large amount of candles on the 2 minute. So across all time frames, that flag was present and it was showing pretty well that it was going to break out even higher from what I saw at the moment. Because if you look here on the 2-minute, this little flag doesn't even appear on the 15-minute, doesn't appear on the 5-minute. So that's why I waited for the break and the retest. This flag here is kind of present on the 5-minute with these candles, these 3 or 4 candles here is this flag here. But this flag on the 2-minute is present here on the 5-minute, but not present on the 15-minute. So I like to look at different time frames because they're telling me the same thing differently.
I mean, I think that's an excellent, a couple of things you said are really excellent, even outside of the flag lesson that you're currently giving, is that a break and retest of a line or a level can often be a very key indicator for continuation or rejections. So never kick yourself for waiting for a retest. Okay, you're likely doing yourself a favor. Okay, and if you miss it, you'll get the next one. Okay, but I think that's really important that when you're doing these lines and trends that you do think outside of the 5-minute chart you may be looking at, or the 2-minute, or the 1-minute, or whatever time frame. Is higher time frames offer other pieces of information that get lost in the noise sometimes on lower times. Would you agree with that, Bird?
Yeah, I definitely would. That's why I always like to have multiple time frames up at one time. I'll have the 2-minute, which is what I predominantly trade off of. I'll make some trades off of the 5-minute. And then down here, I'll have the 15-minute, and sometimes I will change this over to the daily and watch how things look at on the daily or the hourly and stuff like that. But I'm always changing this box down here to different time frames to see how things look on the larger time frame, see if we're approaching any trend lines on the daily or anything like that.
And I think another thing you said that was really important, Bird, is like sometimes it doesn't work. And sometimes there's times, a month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, that the flags are just not effective. Okay? And if you can learn that and recognize that, that's just another thing that you know, to not focus on the flags. Look for something else. Look for a trend line. Look for a key level break. There are other things you can do if this certain strategy isn't working. But what Bird and I are definitely trying to do here is to give you as many simple strategies as possible that actually probability will make you money. So keep that stuff in mind. Bird and I try to teach some of these skills to you guys, is that nothing's set in stone, nothing's gospel. Anything could happen. The market is volatile. The key is having the right adaptivity, the right reactiveness, and the right risk to make sure that if you get screwed today, you're gonna be back in the hunt tomorrow.
Yeah, that's all this is. That's all trading is a numbers game. All right. You try and have more winning trades than losing trades. Like flags alone, over, a large period of time, work out about 60% of the time. So you have your edge there. And then the second edge on the numbers game is you try and you have to keep your winners bigger than your losers. You have to lose small and win big. And that is how you stay alive in trading. And I know it's a whole lot easier said than done. Believe me, I have been there. I have done that. And there are times where I still do that, where I do not keep my edge. I do not trade my system, and I will lose more than I win. I mean, it happens.
But you know what the key is, Doug? You came back the next day. because you were risked correctly. You knew you lost your edge and you walked away. And that is what long-term traders, not flash in the pan gurus, do to have sustained, consistent growth. It's just that simple, people. I don't think Bird could make it any simpler than he is already.
No, it is that simple.
And I'm guilty of it myself, Bird. You know, my ego, you could probably
What is
tell from the way I speak, my ego is astronomical.
What?
Astronomical. And my desire to be right in trades sometimes outdoes my logical brain. So on those times of days when I have the desire to be right all the time, I have to stop myself. And that is a very, very difficult thing for me to do with my personality, is to actually admit defeat and walk away instead of me trying to prove how right I am all the time. I will tell you that realization came to me at a very, very, very high level of money. And that pain and that humiliation and that embarrassment of my own mistakes, it taught me I'm not as smart as I thought I was, and that my ego needs to get in check. And although my ego does provide me with some confidence going into some trades that work out in my favor, sure, but it's always a constant mental struggle with me to keep my ego in check and to actually recognize that I don't know everything.
Yeah, the market will humble you quickly. I've learned that lesson myself. And another thing that I struggle with is getting overly confident, thinking that I can't be wrong. I've won, 5-6 trades in a row or whatever. Like, oh, I can enter in any trade and it's going to work out in my favor. And then I start losing. That's something else that you have to be weary of, is the overconfidence.
100%. I mean, I don't care if you're trading one option contract or 1,000 futures contracts. That market can smack you in the face. Whether you're playing small or playing big, it doesn't matter. The key is to play smart, to size appropriately, to not have hopium, and to cut losers quick. Okay? If you cut your loser too quick and it goes back in your direction, guess what? You can always re-enter. Okay? Holding on to a loser for a long period of time when you won't hold on to a winner for that same period of time is madness. And it is a direct route to bankruptcy. Okay? If you want to quit that job at Wendy's, folks, hold winners longer, cut losers quicker, and you'll be fine. And that's pretty much all I had. We'll have some interesting stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks, everybody. So we're always going to keep some, the education fresh while trying to review the material in some of the recaps the following days, just so you could see it a little bit more in real time, in real market scenario, and see how easy these are to find on the daily. Okay. You have anything cooking this week for yourself, Bird?
No. Got a tournament coming up this weekend, so got to get ready for that. But other than that, no big plans for the week. Just going to try and figure out this market, the remainder of the week, and then enjoy the Veterans Day weekend that's coming up.
It's gonna be great. So I went to a Division I college, and we are in a Division 1A football as well. It's a college called Miami of Ohio. So if anyone is looking for something to do tonight, there is a huge game between Miami, Ohio, who is currently 7-2, if you wanted to know, playing against lowly Akron U, who I think are 2-7. We're gonna dominate them. Starts 7:30. I'll be glued in.
Yeah, I'll probably be watching that on my phone while at practice tonight. I love me some good Maction.
It's underrated. I can't say it enough. Like, for a terrible conference, they get a lot of decent players coming out of it.
Yeah, and me and our friend J Rose were talking about it earlier today. There's always some craziness off the wall stuff that happens in the MAC, and I absolutely love it. It's very entertaining.
And the saddest thing about Miami, unfortunately, is Blaine Gabbert, the quarterback from the NFL. His brother, who's like significantly younger, was our quarterback, and he's out for the season. So we're going with a backup quarterback, but it's the end of the year. We're already getting into a bowl. I am super pumped for this game tonight.
Oh yeah, it wasn't an Achilles tear, was it? Because it seems like a lot of quarterbacks are getting those this year.
Actually, they didn't say what it was. Maybe I have to look more, but they didn't actually say what it was. But it's been a great season. We beat some surprising teams like Cincinnati, which we haven't beat them in 18 years. We we played Miami University from Florida for the first time ever in our history. It's crazy. We got blown out by them.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have games like that, but
It was on national TV. I'll take it. All right, man.
Yep.
Well, I hope everyone enjoyed the show. I know I enjoyed doing it because I get to talk to my man Bird here, and I always enjoy that. Him and I chat a lot. Yeah, so we'll be back on Friday for Fuck Up Friday. I'm quite certain I'll have a couple of gems for everyone to show off my stupidity. And I hope by showing off my stupidity, I also highlight my resiliency, and that I always shake it off, learn from my mistakes, and come back for another bite at the apple.
yeah, I can't wait for Friday. I will see everyone then on Friday. Y'all stay safe tomorrow and the rest of the day today. And remember to plan your trades, trade your plans, and preserve that mental capital.
DGen Nation, you have a great rest of your day. Trade smart, trade safe. Remember always, when there's chaos, there's plenty of opportunity.